knows the content. He's here all the time. All right. Hi, all. I am Dr. Carr here at Kentucky State, or just Sarah is fine. I don't care as much for formalities. We are actually going to talk about managing reproduction in sheep, well, small ruminants in general. But I have a lovely undergraduate student that works for me, and he has been working on this BVD grant, which a lot of you have heard the content before, or at least some of y'all hear all the time. So they might be upset about this because I didn't really tell people, but I'm going to give him 8 minutes of my time so he can practice his formal presentation skills.
All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started with our 1045 presentation. So this presentation is titled Urban Farming and Its Challenges, and it's by Dr. Alhagie Cham, who is the Urban Horticulture Extension and Research Scientist here at Kentucky State University.
Thank you for the introductions.
All right.
Yes, as you said, my name is
I'm
Alhagie Cham.
I'm presenting on
urban
BVD
horticulturist.
and
I work from
persistently
the
infected
Kentucky State
cattle today.
West
She gave me a
Louisville
great
Extension
intro,
Office.
So I don't have to give you my own disclaimer.
My work
bear with me.
is working with growers and small farmers in,
So BVD,
in the
it's
urban
a
areas
poorly
and the
named virus.
suburban areas,
Bovine viral
in horticultural
diarrhea
production
virus.
in general,
Now,
as
when you hear
well as
that,
crop
you assume
protection.
that
So
everything that
my
it's about
work
is going to be
is
diarrhea,
basically with the
but it
people
actually
around the
has a whole
cities.
host of
And
other
today we're going to be
symptoms.
looking at the
But the main
urban
thing to get
farming
from it
and
right
its
here
challenges.
is it's highly
As we all
contagious.
know,
It causes
farming
millions
have
of dollars
challenges in
losses.
general, but urban
Another
farming tend
important
to have
note
more challenges due
is
to policies
it
and
can
other
appear
things
in not just
related
cattle,
to our
but
cities
also
and
deer
our
as well.
environments where we live. So that should not stop us from
So like I said,
cultivating our
diarrhea is
cities,
not the only
but
symptom.
still we should know that there
It
are
can
challenges
lead
that
to
we have to
bovine
overcome
respiratory
when we
disease,
want to
BRD.
have this farming.
I'm sure y'all are very familiar with that and all the
So,
losses that
a short
incurs.
definition for urban
you can also
farming
have
will be
abortion,
cultivating
stillbirths,
and processing
infertility,
distribution of
immune
food
suppression, and birth
in and
defects.
around our urban areas. And this integrates
So it
food
is a virus.
production
You
with
have to
our
get it from
ecology
other
and then
animals.
also
Your
community
cattle aren't just
development
gonna
would make
spontaneously contract
our
it from
cities
their
more
environment.
enhanced for food
They're gonna get
security.
it from
That can
new cattle you bring
access
onto your
the,
operation, or
be more
calves are
access
gonna
to
get it from the
ourselves
cow
as dwellers of
during
these cities,
pregnancy.
and then the
But you can
sub-cities,
also get it
the sub
from
areas of these
semen
cities
of
as well.
bulls. So if a bull had a transient infection, just your run-of-the-mill
The question
normal,
why
you
farm
think they get
in
sick,
a city
they get better.
is a
Bulls can
very
actually
large,
carry
is a
their
very
semen
big
for-
question, and
it's
it can
been
be
proven
answered
years
shortly,
afterwards.
or it
So you want to make sure
a
that
lot
your
of
bulls
answers to
are
it as well.
properly vetted.
But the most important answer to this question will be
So like
for
I was
food
talking
security.
about, you have your transient
So,
infection, which is what you think
apart
of
from
when you
food
get sick.
security,
Yes, sir.
we also tend to farm in the cities to reduce the number of food miles.
Yes,
And
sir.
also the community building that we have within the cities. We can build up a very big communities working and farming in the cities through our local farms in the cities, and as well as community farms that we always have in the cities. This all integrate the community together and then reduce the miles that we drive back
my
and forth to get
understanding
our
that
foods, and then
most of your
also
bulls that are gonna be used
reduce
regularly
the
for breeding and
increase
stuff like that, they do
the
test
access
them.
to fresh local foods. So in urban farming, there are different systems that you can adopt. You can adopt
If
a
they had
system
it
depending
before
on
and
your
they do
condition
carry
as
it
an
for a
urban
longer
farmer.
period
If
afterwards,
you
when they're
have
tested for
a
BVD, it will
backyard
show up.
that is a little bit of space that you can
Yes, sir.
do raised bed garden or container
Yeah, the bull
gardening,
will outwardly
you might
appear
want to go
normal,
in for that.
but it'll still
But
carry
if
the
you
virus
have a home that doesn't have a backyard, but you have a rooftop, and then you are thinking of doing a rooftop gardening.
If you're looking in a
So
single
if you
sheet,
have
you
a,
have to request a specialty
in
test,
case
like a
you don't have
PCR
any
or
of this, but
something
you still
from a
have a
lab.
basement in your home. So
But
you want to think
in the
about
semen
indoor gardening.
is not
So
even
indoor
close to
gardening,
the
you can do
most,
hydroponic system,
common way.
you can do an
And
aquaponic
so
system, or you can do aeroponic
trade-off
systems as well.
might be
So all these systems, you
may
can
not
do
be
any of
necessary,
them
for
depending
certain
on the
production
condition
systems,
of
but if you're gonna
your house or the
continue
condition of your home in an urban city.
collect from
So
him and use it
for
for
say,
AI,
that
then
should not
maybe
stop
I
you
care a
from
little bit
farming.
more,
Either
but
having one
I
or
don't think
the
it's
other,
as
you should be able
critical,
to do a
in
farming in
terms
an
of
urban
BVD
setting if you want
as,
to.
checking
So-
stockyard animals or something like that.
So if you don't have any
Thank
of
you
this
very
as
much. I
well
hope we
too,
got your
you can
question
still do
answered
farming.
effectively.
You can still do farming in the cities
The
by
other type of infection
incorporating
is going to
with
be a
the
persistent
community
infection. These are the animals that are
gardens.
sick and
You can look for a
contagious with
plot
the
in a
virus for
community
their
garden,
entire
and you will
lives.
still
They're not
be
gonna
able
get better.
to do some
It
kind
is
of
part
farming
of them.
in order to provide
They
yourself
are
with fresh
typically, if you have a
fruit,
persistent infected
vegetables,
calf
and then
born,
fresh
it's going to
food
be one of your problem
while
calves.
still
it's not going to put on
farming
weight great. It's going to
without
get sick. That's because
placed
the
in your home.
virus has compromised its immune system.
So
But also,
when
there
it
are
comes
calves
to
that are
urban
born that are
farming, we
persistently
know
infected
urban
that appear
farming,
outwardly completely healthy.
like we said at the beginning, have its own challenges. But when we
So the
do
most
farming in the
most common
urban
ways
environment,
to get a PI
we're
calf
still gonna
is
have
if the mother
so
is a persistently
socio-economic
infected
benefits
animal,
of this
she'll
farming
give
that we're
birth to
doing
PI
in this
calves.
environment in our urban
The
settings.
most common
That
way
is, we
is
will
if the mother
empower our
gets infected
communities
with the
through our
virus,
local
a
food
regular
systems.
transient infection
We will also
during
support the
gestation.
youth and adults training programs, some of which
So
we
if
have
she
in
gets
our
infected
case
during
you
the
hear.
first month of
So we'll
pregnancy,
also be able
she's
to
not gonna
provide
keep that calf.
small-scale
She's gonna
income
lose it.
opportunities for ourselves and then
But
people
the
who work with us in
period
this
of 2
urban
to 4
farming settings.
months is when
So
you
we
will
can
get your
also
persistently infected
enhance
calves.
our neighborhoods aesthetic and our
The reason
properties
why that
value.
happens is
So
because
having
the
to
immune
do
system
urban
on the
farming
calf
in
is
some of
forming
our
at that
properties
period.
will increase the
So
property values
when it's
with
being
time.
formed in
and then,
utero, the immune
we'll be
system
able to sell our properties
is
when we
formed
want to
with the
sell
virus
them
in
and
it
increase the values.
to where
in
it
this.
thinks it's just a
So
part of the calf. and it's not
another
gonna
important
mount,
thing that we
an
can
immune
get from this will
response.
be
But if the
environmental
mother gets
benefits,
infected
which many
anywhere
people
between month 5
go
to
into
9,
urban farming
she'll probably have an
to
abortion, or
increase
it's
these
possible
benefits
that you'll have a
for
normal
their
calf too.
environment, for their area, and then for the people, for their neighborhoods. That is to
So the
reduce
best
the
way is to go
carbon
about
footprint,
testing. You have
and then
shoot
from
side
the
tests, which
transportation
you can buy
that
and
you
you
will be
can do
doing when it
testing on
comes
your
to
own operation.
we all
Or you
know
can
what
mail ear
transportation
notches
means when it
out
comes
to
the
University
cities
of
and
Kentucky,
urban
or
settings.
take them to your
So
local
recycling
vet
organic
clinic.
waste through composting, we'll be able to use most of our chicken residues and other things from our
Yes, sir.
homes to do composting that we can use in our backyard farms, gardens, and our raised beds.
Yes, you
and
can order
our
snap
container
tests.
farms behind our houses. So
And
we'll
the ones
also
that
be
I've
able to
done use
improve
ear
urban
notches,
air
but
quality
there's
and then
also
reduce
blood
heat
tests as
islands
well.
effects that affects our communities. Another thing is that we'll also be able to encourage pollinator biodiversity. So I see in a lot of cities now they are encouraging the pollinator biodiversities in some of
So
the
for the
parks.
ear notch
So
testing,
these are all
you have
ways
an
that
ear notcher.
we could
Has anyone used one of these before?
aesthetically improve our communities and
Okay,
our
well, it's really
cities
simple.
and
You just
our
hold it up
neighborhoods
to the
around
edge of
where
the
we
ear,
live.
and quickly, with
So
enough
like
force,
we
you
said
take the
from
little
the
notch
beginning,
out of the ear.
urban
You're gonna
farming
place
will
it in a
have its
Ziploc bag,
challenges,
you're gonna label
and
it
then
with your calf's
urban
information,
farming
and from there
is
you can
promising
decide
as well.
to send it
But
to UK,
like the
take it to your
challenges will
veterinarian,
always hold you
or you
back.
could drive it to
but
the lab
we
yourself.
tend not to go by staying back with these challenges. We tend to do things that will get us
These
overcome
shoot-side
some of
tests
these
can be
challenges
kind of
and continue
expensive.
farming
It's
in
gonna
our
be
urban
cheaper
areas.
to have it
How would
done
we
by
do that?
somebody else.
We have to follow
But
some
if
of the
you
steps
wanted
that are
to
involved
do
in order
everything
to get us
in-house
into
and
that.
maintain that independence, it's a good
So,
option.
one of the key challenges that we have in
Do you
the
need me to go
urban
back?
settings when it comes to urban farming will be
So who are you testing?
space
Well, if you
and
test your
access to land,
calves and your calves
which is
turn
one
out
of the
negative,
most
you
important
know the mother's going to be
assets
negative.
when it comes to farming.
New
land.
animals that you bring
So,
onto your
but
operation,
like
you
I
want to
said,
get them
that's
tested
why we
as well,
always also have
as well as quarantine them.
options when
And if you have
we don't have
calves
access
or
to this
cows
land.
that
So
abort,
we can use other
it's
options
generally a
in
good
order
idea to test them as well, because they
overcome
may
this
have
challenge.
aborted due to the virus.
So another challenge will be soil contamination. We have soil contamination in most areas
Now,
in
if you
the
have a
cities.
positively infected animal,
Some of the contaminants that are mostly frequently
you're
in
gonna
our
wanna
cities
retest
is
to just
heavy
make
metals, lead, and other
now,
some
if it's a persistently
more
infected
powerful
animal,
contaminants
it's
that we
always
can
going
have
to come
in
up
the
positive.
cities.
It's not going to get
We
better.
also have
There's a
problems
few
with
options you
access
have
to
with that.
quality
You can sell it to somebody that
water
feeds out
in our
PI
cities
calves,
because some of
but
the most
either
of the
way,
water
you're
that's
gonna end up
in our
having to
cities comes from
euthanize the animal. The reason
water
you want to
sources
do that
that
is, although outwardly it may
we
appear
they
completely
incorporated a lot
healthy,
of chemicals
and
to
it seems
kill
like
some
you're
of
taking
the
a big loss,
microorganisms in this
that
water.
animal
So
is
that
continually
will also have some
infecting all
consequences
the
when
other
it comes to
animals
plant
on your
production.
operation.
So the economic
So it's-
viability
in the end of the day,
is
you're
another
losing a lot more
challenge, key challenge to some of the urban farming challenges. And then the
So prevention,
last
like I
but
said,
not least
testing
will
new
be
animals that
knowledge
come to your
skills.
operation.
So this is one thing
Vaccinating is
the
always a good
KSU is
approach.
doing very well, trying to
You're going to want to limit your
extension
travel
agents
in between different
our
farms as
farming,
well.
urban
And just
farming
be aware
communities
of
to
where
improve
you
our
might
challenges
bring
to meet this
contagions
challenge of training many people in urban farming. An example of that
So
is
these
the
are our note cards.
urban
We are
growers
going to have
cohort
them.
that's
One
the
thing that I do
KSU
want
is
to point
right
out,
now
though,
hosting.
is killed vaccines versus modified live. Your
So
modified live
what is the
vaccines
biggest
are gonna be
barriers
more
when it
effective,
comes to
but you're going to want to
urban
use killed
farming?
vaccines
So the
on
biggest
pregnant cows,
barrier,
because if you use
according
modified
to
live on
some of
pregnant
the
cows,
sources that I have
there's a
looked
chance that
at
they'll lose the
has
calf.
been access to land and its cost. It has been one of the
That's all I have for you. Thank you
the
very
most challenging stuff when it comes to urban farming. And this is because there is a lot of competition when it comes to acquiring land in the urban areas.
Right. Thank you all for your
We
time
have
for Jacob.
realtors who want to buy land and then use it for other uses,
couple things.
while we
I'm
have
pretty eccentric, and if you've
environmentalists
listened to
and
me
then
talk before,
agriculturists
I'm
and
awful with the
horticulturists
microphone.
who wanted
So I
to
will
get
do my
these
best,
lands to use them
but
for community garden,
occasionally
for
it
green
will come in
spaces,
and
for
out,
pollinators,
just because I move
biodiversities,
around a lot, and
in
I'm
order
not
to
trying
increase the
to do that, but if you don't hear
aesthetic
something,
of
you
the
need something
cities and
repeated,
then
feel
our
free to just
neighborhoods.
speak out.
So, based on the industry survey, access
I am
to
gonna talk about
affordable and
managing
suitable
reproduction in
land
small
remains
ruminants.
the
I love
single
my small
greatest
ruminants,
barrier to
and
starting
I specialize in
the
reproductive
new urban
physiology,
farm.
which is,
So
I
also
think
there
we're
is
all
a
weird that
study
do
by
that, but
Dr. Cesar,
here we are.
now working at
This is gonna
KSU,
be
who
basically
did
the overview. So who all
his
in here
thesis
is a
on
small ruminant
barriers and
producer?
opportunities to sustainable urban agriculture,
So I know
which a
meat,
case study
meat
that he
goats.
did in Louisville.
What do you have?
And then he found out that access
Yeah,
to
goats. I
land
talked to
and
you
lack of
guys. You
financial
feel, right?
resources
What do
as the
you
most
raise?
challenges
Dairy goats. Perfect.
barriers when it comes to urban
Okay,
farming.
no sheep in here? Sheep, well, yeah, you, okay.
So
Sheep.
for the foundation for every farming is
I'm
the
gonna talk
soil.
about this. Most of
So
what I
in
say
urban
is gonna
soil,
be
we
consistent
tend to
between the sheep
have
and
a lot
goats.
of these
If there's a
problems
difference, I
when
will
it
tell you
comes
there's
to
a difference,
contamination.
but please
So,
know
but
that I'm
we
going
have to
If
try
I'm
to
saying
build
you
our base
in a general
when
sense,
it
I may
comes
be
to
referring to both ewes
having a
and
healthy
does.
soil.
If I'm saying buck
So
or
what
ram,
we do
it may
is
come out as one, but
we have to
unless I'm
always
specifying
test our
that
soil
this is a
first
difference,
to know what we
then
have there,
it's generally
because
gonna
there
be
is a
referring to
saying
the
that
sire.
a proper management
All right, so why do we care about
starts with
reproduction?
understanding what you have.
You can't
So
have production
before you
without
can start a
reproduction. We
management
know
strategy for your
that,
soil, you should know what is in your soil. So that's why in
for
urban setting
perpetuation
we've
of
always,
species
as
overall,
horticulturists,
we
as
have to continue
agronomists,
to
and
reproduce.
as
All species have to
agriculturists, we
reproduce to make
also
it.
always encourage
However,
you to first test your soil, especially in an urban setting. First test your soil, know what is in your
as
soil.
I'll talk about in a
And
little
then if
bit,
you don't
reproduction is a luxury,
have
as
the
Dr. Lay
adequate
likes to say. So
proper
we cannot produce without
nutrients
reproduction, but
and
we have to consider a lot of
contamination level in your
decisions
soil
this
that
case.
is required for you to start an urban farm,
If we
then
want
you
to
can look for
classify
other
reproduction in
options to
small
start
ruminants,
these urban farming
they are
systems.
what we call short-day breeders. What
So
that
testing
means
your
is
soil
as we
will
go
be
throughout
very
the year,
important, and
as the
then
days
why
are
it
getting
matters
shorter,
before
so that's in
planting.
the fall. After we have that peak
Like
in the
I said, you will
summertime,
be
the
able
days are gonna
to
start getting shorter.
determine the nutrient
It gets
level,
kinda
the
sad
pH,
like it is right
and then
now, and
also
gets
the
dark, you know,
contaminants such as
5
heavy
o'clock.
metals and lead.
During that time,
So
that's
testing
when
your
our
soil
sheep
can be
and goats
easy
are cycling
if you
naturally.
know how to
It
do
is
it,
based
but
off
it
their
can also be
perception of
tricky
light.
if you don't
And
have
this
an
is actually
idea
opposite
of
of
how to
horses.
test your
So
soil.
if you
So
have
that's
done
why
anything with horses, they are
we also
long-day
develop
breeders.
a
So they
soil
actually come
test
in
guide
natural
for
cyclicity
urban
in the
growers.
spring.
It's a short guide that you can use to test your soil. So this guide shows you how you could easily test your soil, especially in an urban setting.
So
You can
if you
do
look at
this
this chart up
by
here, I'm just mapping out
simply
the different months of the year.
taking
starts in
samples
June,
in
and then
a
is another
zigzag
year back in
pattern,
June.
and then
And so
not taking
early
samples
on,
in
we have
wooded
this
areas,
transitional
wooded
period. It's
areas,
right
lime
before
piles,
the
or
animals are going to be
remote
naturally
areas.
cyclic.
So
as those
you tend
days
to,
start
if you use this guide, you'll be able to
when we come
properly
into, say,
get
September through
soil
December,
testing
that's when our
for
animals
your
are
urban
naturally
garden
cyclic.
or your urban
And so
space
that's
where you want to start
typically
an
when
urban
we'll see
farm.
people introduce their ram or their buck and then let them breed.
So
and they can do
with
that without
that
any intervention.
soil and then
After that,
soil
when we get
contamination
closer to
being one of the
January
most
on,
challenging in
they are what we call
urban
anovulatory,
farming,
which means they
there's
are no
other
longer gonna
hurdles that
cycle
you face
naturally.
as you go on
And
farming
if
in
we
an
wanna
urban
breed them
area.
during that
So
time,
one of
then
that is
we
the
are gonna have
light
to do
and
some
space.
external intervention.
So there's findings suitable land is difficult. Like it is
What does
said,
it mean to be
the
cyclic?
competition
Well,
is
this
high
is
for
referring to this
acquiring
continual
land.
cycle of an estrous
Tall
cycle.
buildings
So in
created
women, we have a
blocking
menstrual
the
cycle.
sunlight for
Everyone in here is
if you
aware
want to
of that.
farm in your
When we're
backyard and
speaking
then
about it with our,
your house is just behind a
ruminants, small
20,
ruminants, other
30-story
animals,
building house.
we call this an
So
estrus cycle.
and then covers
It
most of
happens
the
every
sunlight
17 days in
towards
sheep,
your farm will be
and
difficult
then
for you
about
to
every
grow in
21
that
days in
area.
goats. So there's a little bit of species
other
difference
is the
there.
high startup cost.
At the time
Sometimes if you don't have the space or you
of
don't have
estrus,
some of
estrus
the
is when
material
ovulation
needed
occurs. We can see
to
on the
start a
chart down here.
backyard, small farm in the backyard,
Ovulation
you will
occurs,
need
and then we have 24 to
come up with
36
other options
hours,
like
more or
rooftop
less,
gardening
to get
or
that
indoor
animal bred
farming,
before
which
they are no
might
longer
need you to
receptive.
buy some stuff
After
at
they are not receptive,
some
then they
cost
go
that is
through
a
a
little bit
period
high
where
for you to
we
be
have
able
a
to start
hormone
these
called progesterone,
operations.
and it's quite
So
high.
for zoning and policies, complex city regulations and lack of supportive, clear policies can be a major barrier. These policies that we found a lot of policies has been implemented in the cities during time. So there's been works done by organizations, by NGOs and other people around in order to have their effort in changing these policies in order to suit these growers and then farmers within the cities, so they can be able to farm without these policies blocking them from doing some of the things that they need to do.
Their vaccine records,
so here are some of the strategies that you could use when you want to overcome these challenges in order for you to start your backyard farming or your urban farming in your neighborhood. One of the challenges, one of the strategies that you can use is that you can use to promote supportive urban agricultural policies, and then also encourage soil-safe raised bed system. Raised bed system is one of the biggest and the most encouraged methods that people use to encourage people who want to farm in urban settings, especially want to farm in the soil behind their house. It's always encouraged for you to use raised beds because you don't know what's in the soil, especially if you don't test your soil to know what is there. It's always encouraged for you to use raised bed gardening or pot gardening, container gardening, etc.
We have 2 teats.
Also invest in water-efficient technologies like drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting. This rainwater harvesting is very important because you'll have a natural water that you will not have to worry about any of the factors affecting this water. So you will have a water that you can use for your irrigation system without needing for any treatment or for any other thing. You can just harvest the rainwater and just use it directly in your urban farming system.
What is profitable and what is
also develop urban farmer cooperative and market linkages, and also by integrating education and extension support for growers, we can also overcome some of these challenges when it comes to urban
the value of one more may be less than the
so
cost
knowing
of
all or most of these challenges that we face in our daily life as an urban farmer or someone who wants to start a urban farming, we also should have this in our mind that it's not that all is bad for the future of someone who wants to start a urban farming.
Some of them can be expensive.
There are innovative policies, technologies, community engagement that are paving way for more resilient urban food systems nowadays in our cities, and we have seen some of this in cities like Louisville and Lexington and other cities. So I'm going to give you, this is an example of an innovation in policies for urban farming in Louisville, Kentucky, where Louisville is advancing urban agriculture through update and development of codes that allows more community gardens and farmers markets. So these are policies that really encourage people who have the intention of having or doing urban farming to be able to invest in urban farming or be able to grow their own food for their own production. So new urban agricultural programs that coordinate city support and reduce barriers for growers are also being implemented in the city of, for example, Louisville. And then partnership also with groups and organizations, strengthening the implementation and then also the outreach. For example, KSU and then have been in partnership with a lot of organizations in Lexington, in Louisville, and other parts of Kentucky that strengthening implementation, outreach of extension educators in order to teach these people about ways that they could use some of the strategies that they could use to start their urban farming or increase what they have as urban farmers. These innovations also promote food security, equity, and sustainable city development.
They don't grow like we see some of the other kids grow. And
then also next will be the control environment and then hydroponic and aquaponic systems. So KSU Urban Ag and controlled environment agricultural program, doing the hydroponics and aeroponics systems. So these systems,
naturally, they're going to breed in the fall.
implementing these systems with urban farmers, we know the future holds for a system that manages light, temperatures, and everything in a growing setting. It's really good for a farmer who have, let's say, a container farm or some kind of indoor growing system that is in there. So recently, KSU has purchased 2 container farms from Fried Farms, and these container farms are hydroponic container farms that is meant to be for extension and outreach as well as research. So in these container systems, you will be able to produce a lot of greeny vegetables without the need for to worry about environmental impacts of on your farm. You will be able to control all the environment in these container farms. As well as other indoor growing systems like aquaponic and hydroponic, you will be able to control the system and you will be able to control these farms. So I have a colleague who works with me in the control environment of the hydroponic system of this container.
We have to think about the
so we'll be working together on teaching and then training growers who are interested in indoor farming when it comes to controlled environment and growing leafy vegetables. And even to the stage of them wanting to implement this and having a similar container in their farm in order to start this kind of farming or this kind of production system. Yeah, and then for Kentucky, for the cities like Lexington, Louisville, and this supports like ready year-round production where you don't have to worry about the winter, you don't have to worry about the summer for some crops, so you can grow any type of crop that you want to grow all year round. So your support for the production will not be limited to only the summer.
Hit a market earlier during the summer.
Also, there is IoT, smart agricultural and farm management softwares that has been created in order to help several farms in Kentucky. For example, the development of technologies that monitors and remote controls this environment when it comes to indoor growing and other certain types of growing in our urban environments.
If you go out and you just throw
so the urban context where space is premium and disruption with the heats and then also with storms and the pests that are outside, this system may be frequently and smart for resilient and then also for a good production without the disruption of these challenges that it faces when we are using an open environment, for example.
To fit in those kidding jugs, to circulate them through at one
so
time.
Infrastructure and supply chain technologies are also being incorporated in our systems to help growers and then farmers. For example, through the Resilient Food System Infrastructure Program in Kentucky has access to grants that support equipment, processing, storage, and IT systems for local and regional food supply chains. So you can apply for these grants and they will help you with infrastructure and supply chain technologies like cold storages and other stuff. For urban farming, this means better ability to aggregate these systems into your farming system in order for you to be able to store your farm produces for a longer time and then be able to sell it at the time that you want.
The inside turns, and so if you pick a date, like this is when I breed.
Also through education, technology, and training, the KSU Ag Urban Growers Cohort and the Home Grower Support Program, all these trainings in new technologies support these growers through workshops and then strengthening practically growing skills for urban growers. So it has always been the aim of KSU to have more agents throughout most of the counties in Kentucky and most parts of the cities, so they can work with these growers and then these small farmers to train them in some of the new technologies when it comes to growing and also how they could improve their growing and then also how they could
very easy tool to be able
protect their crops.
to reference.
You know,
or even if you're
during this
working on
season.
your records, you can reference this.
So for all our work
Right.
in urban
So then
horticulture,
we have to prepare animals. Like I said,
connecting in
nutrition
this training is
critical.
very key to us as we
Pre-breeding health,
link
and
with
then
growers,
the rams
small
and bucks.
farmers,
And if you were
and
here,
then
which many of you were,
it's like
or at least
building
some
up
of
a
you small
family and a
ruminant
community
producers
where we can
at
share
my
ideas together,
third
because it's
Thursday,
not
we actually
only
did a
that we are
pre-breeding
teaching these farmers, but we are
exam
also
for
learning a
everything
lot
you can
from
do
these
without
farmers.
the vet's
So these growers, we have a lot of farmers and growers
All
who
right,
are
body
very
condition scores. Same as with all
skillful,
our species,
experienced
right?
in these
In
systems.
cattle, we
So
have
the
scale of 1 to
interaction
9.
with these
We want
farmers
it to
and
be
these
circa a
growers
6
teach us
for
a lot
breeding,
as
so that it is,
horticulturists, as
good
scientists,
fertility.
or as even agents
In sheep
to
and goats, we have a
prepare us
scale of 1
for
to 5.
more
One being that emaciated.
more teaching and
Basically,
more
I have
training
never ever,
in
except for
future
one
with
time,
other
seen
people.
a 1. I have one.
So with
later on
that,
in my slides, but in person,
I don't think I
I've
have a
never
lot of
seen a
time
1
left,
one
so
time.
I'll.
Most of ours,
I
if
have,
they're
if
underweight,
you have any
are going to be about a
questions,
2, 2.5.
I have here
And then where we want
my
them to be is a
details,
3,
my name,
3.5.
and then also have the
You
name
know,
of my
to a
colleague who
4,
worked
a
with
little
me
bit,
in
depending on how you're
control
scaling, but
environment
at a 4,
agriculture.
you're starting to get a
So
little
he
bit
works
overweight.
mostly on indoor
5,
farming,
severely
and he's the
obese.
one who is the head of our container farm.
Those things waddle.
So
We
if
have
you're
one we just
interested
sent
in
out. We had a
horticulture
doe.
production
She was
or
very
urban
territorial
horticulture,
of the feeder.
and then also if
And we
you're
sent her out
interested
last
in
week
controlled
because
environment
She just waddled.
agriculture,
She looked like she had
he's the
quads
one
and
to
she was
contact.
open. It's kind of sad.
So I thank you
she's
all
gone,
for your
but
time. If you
anyway,
have any questions.
if we have them too emaciated or too skinny, what's going to happen is they are not going to have enough nutrients to put into reproduction. So like I said, it's a luxury. If they cannot have the nutrients to even survive as a
Yes,
as an animal,
in
then
case
they're
you,
not
we
gonna
have
be able to put extra into
we have a lot of areas that
Also at that
we
point,
have
you may
people
not even
develop,
have them
but
ovulating.
our
so there's no
area
chance of
we have
even
a
getting
team
pregnant.
that we have people from
they're
people of
obese,
different areas
it's a little
that
less
tackle this. But most of
critical
what we
in
work
terms
is on
of
horticulture.
getting pregnant.
So
There's
my
chances
work
they're-
is
they're
basically
gonna have a hard
an
time
urban
getting pregnant.
horticulture.
But
So
some of those other
I
challenges will come in pregnancy.
basically work on
And
growing
also
of
there are some epigenetic factors.
horticultural crops
Science way
and
out
then
of the
crop
scope of this.
protection.
But
So
it's possible she
but
could
we
be-
have people
Of course,
who
she could be passing on that
will
obesity onto her
be
kids.
able
and we
to
wanna
give you
really
more
think about
information when
the
it comes to
offspring and the products that we are making.
animal production.
Right, flushing. I know y'all are cattle producers. Cattle, all you cattle producers. I like my small ruminants. Anyway, I don't judge. Okay, in sheep and goats we do flushing, which can help in cattle, of course. But what we really want to do is right before breeding, especially if they're on the thin side. So if they're about a 2, a 2.5, we want to increase that energy so that they're basically telling the body, hey, at this point we have extra energy, we have extra going into your nutrition. I think it's a good time to cycle. I think we're able to make that happen.
Okay.
And so basically we're just tricking them into making sure that they are able to ovulate, getting that body condition score up.
Yes, those are some of the things that
What
we're
you can do
working
is
on
just
with a lot of
supplement,
people in the
about a half
communities,
pound
with
to a
community
pound more
gardens,
grain of some sort.
as well as
or even if
schools.
you're just using a concentrate,
So
go out there and just throw 'em out a
you
little bit.
live around
It will
Louisville
help.
area?
The other thing you could do is if you
Oh,
have
okay.
a better
So
pasture
yeah,
at
we
the
work
time,
with a lot
put
of
'em on the
people,
better pasture.
organizations in
It will
West
also help
Louisville,
them
as well
with the
as
flush.
small individual farmers
All right.
or gardeners in West Louisville,
I
and
love
as
the
well as
nails.
community
Breeding's down
gardens
this
like
exam.
Portland
Like I said,
Community
all of us,
Garden
we
is one
were
of
people
them,
weird,
and the 7th
so
Street Community
just bear
Garden
with me.
is one of the gardens that I
Breeding's down
work
at
a
6
lot
a.m. is
with people
critical. It's
there.
critical in
And then
all
we
of your
also work
species
with
and the bulls
organizations
as
like
well. Similar in our small ruminants. We
oh
wanna
yeah,
look
the
at that
Fred
physical
farm.
conformation.
The Fred
So we wanna
farm
make sure
is
they have
here
good
at the farm
sound.
here.
If they can't go out there and mouth
We were
them,
supposed to have one of
they
them
should not be
in
sent
West
out there.
Louisville,
If
but
they have bad
eventually,
teeth,
right
they
now at
cannot
this
go out
moment,
there
we
and
have
actually
both of
eat the
them here.
forages,
So if you want to
to
learn
maintain body
anything about it,
condition,
you'll have
they
to
shouldn't go
connect
out
with
there because they're
Arnold,
not going to
and then
maximize your ability
he,
to get your
he
animals
can
pregnant.
give you maybe a tour.
Again,
Yeah.
body condition.
to
What
learn more
happens
about
with small ruminants especially too is that when we send the males out, they concentrate so much on breeding the females that sometimes they even forget to eat. And so they need to be in a nice or even slightly over-conditioned body condition score, so 3.5 or 4, because it's even possible they could drop some body condition score while they're out there breeding. So we want to make sure that they are set up for success before we even use them.
Yes.
We do a reproductive exam. At Third Thursday, I actually got in the pens and did this to some of our bucklings. But really what you do, first is you want to do a testicular circumference. You do this at the biggest part of those testicles. And the size of testicles
from
is
heavy
very
metals,
closely
I don't know
related to how
anywhere
fertile
in
the
Kentucky
animal
that
is
does
going
it
to be.
at the moment, but
So
I
it's
know
pretty
of
critical.
a private
In
lab
goats,
somewhere that
there's a much
does
less
tests for heavy metals.
differential in the size of testes in mature animals.
I don't know the cost
but
because
in
I've never
sheep,
did it there,
it's
but
very critical.
yeah.
Because there is such an array of sizes. We also want to make sure that they are symmetrical, free of lumps, no injuries, they're not dragging too low below the hocks. And it's not up here, but we really want to look at their health history, because if they have had a fever recently,
Yeah, if you reach
where
out
their
to her
testicles ended
or
up
us,
being
we'll
too high,
try
you can
to
kill the
get
sperm,
yourself
the semen,
tested for all
the
that.
sperm that's in there. And for a period of time, they're going to be infertile. Could be up to 60 days for that to completely replenish. So for BSEs, I highly recommend doing those at least 60 days or right about
The
60
hydroponic
days
system,
before
you mean?
breeding, just in case there is an issue
Yes,
where
for the
they
hydroponic
need
system,
to
especially for the container
replenish their
farms that
sperm.
are right now in the
Now, we also
market,
look at the
there are
semen.
container farms that
Generally,
you
the
can be
semen
able to
and
produce
a lot of this
between
is done by a
1,000
veterinarian,
to
all the way
1,200
down
heads of
through,
lettuce
the
a
reproductive
week,
exam. That stuff you
because
can
the
actually do
growing
yourself.
is like
So
a
if you
process of
are not
a
gonna bring in a
continuous
veterinarian,
process.
you can at least
Where
check
when
these,
you while you
phenotypic
every
type
week you tend to
glands. If we look at our semen,
every
though,
week you sow
our
more
vet can
new
collect
seeds.
semen, look
So
at
the growing
motility.
is
So
like
that's how well it
continuous.
swims.
And
Is it
after you
swimming
start
straight?
harvesting, you
Is it
you harvest
moving?
every week, and
They
you'll
don't
be able
always
to
get
harvest
as low
between
as looking
1,000
at
to
the individual
1,200 heads of
sperm,
lettuce.
but they will look and see if
So
there's just a
with the calculation and the
glistening
for the
wave,
market
and that
and
can
then
tell
the
them if that
business
sperm is active.
strategies, most
We
of the
also look at
container farms that
morphology.
they are coming
So
out now,
morphology
they
is
comes with a sort of
basically-
a marketing
I have a
strategy that
slide
you could use,
later that shows
and
you,
then
but it's
the
just
ways that you can
how
make
well
profit out
structured
of
that
it.
sperm is.
So
If the
yes,
tails-
they can be
this is healthy
profitable.
sperm. So there's the head and the tail. It's all straight. You would think that these could swim straight. If they're swimming in a circle, if there's two heads, if they don't have a part that provides energy,
Yes.
all of that is going to make
It
that
depends
animal
on what type
infertile.
of growing system you want to use in your
It's even
garden.
more critical
If you just want to
because
use a
if you have
hydroponic
your one
system
ram or
or
one buck,
hydroponic system,
you throw him out there in the
it
field,
shouldn't cost a
and
lot,
he's not fertile,
so it should be
you've missed
profitable.
that entire breeding
But
season,
you can also
especially if you've left it
incorporate
out there for a period of time.
fishes and
And
make
you
it
don't
an
want to come
aquaponic
up
system.
with a year where this
that might
animal is
be
not able, you're not going to
profitable
have your
as well.
offspring like you need to remain sustainably productive.
Fish.
All right. We also have to consider
Fish,
air
if you are
ratios.
doing an aquaponic system, the fish are on a
These are generally
controlled tank,
presented online.
so
Now,
it will
depending on your
not
production
be
system, you can
so
push some of these
open
ratios
for.
higher with our
But
mature rams.
in most of the
bucks.
cases, when people do
But we wanna
aquaponic,
stick
they are
around,
not
35 to 50
doing it to
ewes
sell the fish,
in our-
but
in
they're
our
doing it
rams.
to sell
For
the crop.
yearlings, 20 to 35,
They're doing it. The
and then if
fish
you're using a
will, the
ram
fish
lamb,
residue
you're
will
even
be
lower, so
used as
15
a
to 20
fertilizer
ewes.
to the
For a
crop
buck
during
to
in
doe
the system.
ratio, we have
So
20
it
to
will
40
be used
does
basically
per
for
buck.
you to produce your
And then
crop
for the
and sell your
yearlings
crop
or our bucklings,
while
that's
you're
15 to
not
20
selling
does
the
per
fish.
buck.
So I've seen one system
Pre-breeding.
where they have only 5
I know
fish.
Dr. Lay did her chickens
And then they'll
today,
be able
but
to
if you listen to her
grow,
talk, she is very
lettuce
fantastic
for
at giving her
6
her,
months continuously.
talks
And
regarding
then they were
our
able to grow
Famaches,
a
fecal
lot
egg
of
counts, and what
a
that
lot
looks like in
during
our
that
smaller
time.
minutes. That is something we absolutely want to do. And 30 to 60 days at least, because if you have to treat them, you want to make sure that you're able
Hydroponic
to
systems?
overcome some of those
Okay, for a
challenges.
hydroponic system,
We
if
also
you
have to
just
do
want a
pre-breeding
smaller
vaccines.
hydroponic system,
wanna
we
look
are
at the
looking at a
Campylobacter,
few hundreds for a
chlamydia,
startup.
Clostridial
But if you
species
want to have
as
a
well. If
bigger
you have a
hydroponic
problem with
system,
CL, or if you have a
the
concern,
cost will
you can
be a
do that
little
one.
bit
Not
higher.
as critical.
But just for a small hydroponic system,
especially
and then
if your herd
you
is
might not
closed
only,
off or you're not concerned
it
at all.
might not be expensive if you buy some of the materials
So when we
and
get
then
up to
build up
breeding,
your own
that's all
hydroponic
pre-breeding.
system.
Now we're up to breeding.
Which is some of the things that we're
first thing
trying
we
to
wanna
do with
do
my
is
colleague here.
ask if they're ready.
We're trying to buy some of the
We did a lot of
materials,
work
build
to get
some
them
kind
ready
of
in the previous
demonstration
slides.
hydroponic systems
But for this one,
that
I
people
threw it
can
up there
replicate
because we
and
wanna
then
be
use in
conscious
their
of our
home growing
buildings
settings
or
in
our
order
new
for them
lambs.
to
They need to be at least 2/3 of the mature
yeah, for it
weight
to be
before you
more
breed them. If we're gonna
cheaper
put a
for them
number
for the
on that,
growers.
we can shoot for about 80
Less
pounds before breeding.
yeah,
Depending on
you want
where
to say
you
something
put
about
them, or when you put them on the ground, whether it's January, February, April, May, they could hit that in the first year. However, In most of our production systems, unless you're really pushing for
most
that,
of
they're
the
not going to. So we
commercial
want to wait till that
producers use.
subsequent
So you'll
breeding
be able to
cycle
have, like, if
to
you're
actually
growing
get them
lettuce, you'll be
pregnant.
able to have, maybe
If we
20,
push them in that
25,
first year,
30 lettuce per
yes, they
square
can get
meter.
pregnant, likely going to throw
And
a
then
single.
if you have a good
But
source
what
where
you
you
can do is
find
end up
like the
stunting them,
hydroponic nutrient
their growth and
solution,
their
then
productivity
you could
long
be able
term.
to grow
So
all
these
year
are things
round.
we really want to consider when we are trying to breed doelings or ewe lambs. All right, are they ready? How are they going to be serviced? Natural service, the most common. We go out there again, throw the buck and the ram out in the field. He services them. You can even do this if you are synchronizing, so you can control that season and still use natural service and release that buck or ram at a specified time. The pros: low labor, low cost.
Yeah. So
Higher
hydroponic
conception rate.
system,
That's important
they're
because
basically
in our beef cattle, we see higher
a
conception
system
rates,
that is
normally with their
meant to
AI,
produce mostly
especially if it's
vegetables,
traditional AI.
vegetable production.
However,
So even
that's
there are
opposite the case in our smaller
some kind of
ruminants.
hydroponic systems that are not
With this
suitable for
breeding
rooty
plan, you
vegetables
have less
yet.
control.
So, but like there is
I
a
put
lot of
potential for
research
diseases,
and a lot of
not as much of
technology
a worry.
advancement in some
But
of
the biggest thing is if you didn't
in
do a
order to
BSE or
increase
that breeding soundness
or to
exam,
come up with more
you have the
hydroponic
potential of
systems
putting
that
in a
could
bad
grow
sire.
more crops.
And
But like for
again,
things
that's
like hay,
critical because
I don't
if
think
it's
that's
not
possible
healthy,
at the moment.
then you cannot have healthy offspring.
I might be wrong, but
AI. AI exists. It is nowhere near as prolific. If we're lucky, we can get 40%, and that's on the high end. So again, not like cattle, but there are reasons we do it. Normally, it's for genetics. We do this in a lot of. If we're trying to make breeding stock,
yeah. And if you
or
have any
show
question,
animals, that kind of
I'll be
thing, then
around
we're
all day,
typically
so
gonna
you can
resort more to AI.
just shoot me a question.
It's a lot more expensive. And there's technical skills. So I put these pictures up there because it's interesting, not because I'm promoting this in any way.